knowledge of how a big stress experienced in a state of isolation can literally drive that perceived experience, that particular type of conflict, goes to a very precise part of the brain, and that in turn corresponds to the organ that will be affected. And this is so powerful that the originator found that if there was a very strong conflict, you could even see it on a CAT scan. There's a type of appearance that looks like dropping a little pebble in water. And the center of that is sort of the center focus of where the conflict goes, and that region of the brain gets disconnected in awareness. So it's like that higher self issue, that we're never disconnected from it. It's always there, but we might not be aware of it. It might be literally blocked from our perception. And one of the big things that does this is simply unresolved conflicts, which can be ours or from our ancestors. So for example, if someone has the same name as an ancestor, like a mother, father, grandfather, uncle, or aunt, if they're given the same name, they're literally born to resolve the unresolved conflicts of that ancestor. The third area, the third pioneer that we bring in to do trainings is a third generation orthodontist, and that's of course someone who specializes in the challenges with the teeth and the related anatomy. So teeth, dental bone, gums, the shape of the palate, the even the way the mouth closes is also very tied in to especially one's ancestral conflicts. And it's quite extraordinary because each tooth means something. And everything that happens with each tooth means something, as well as the gums and the bone. There's probably almost nothing more powerful than resolving your internal conflicts in terms of overcoming limitations, be capable of doing more and more, having better and better health, overcoming physical, emotional, or psychological issues.
You used to have some courses and training of biodecoding and dental decoding. Are you still doing these courses with them?
We've created a website called Mind Body Logic, and it's been our pleasure and privilege to have met some of the world's leading pioneers in this area. And it all goes back to an amazing German doctor who found that if you could get to the emotional core of a condition, and his focus was oncology, that was his specialty area, and he was reversing even extremely serious issues like cancer simply by knowing what their conflict was and doing a process to create conscious awareness of that, feel the emotion that had been suppressed or blocked, and becoming consciously aware of it, and then reconnecting the brain. So that was the original work. And then the next pioneer in that area was named Claude Sabat, a French person. And two of the leading pioneers that we bring to do seminars, and they have typically courses that are 4 or 5 modules long. A usual module is 2 days, sometimes 3. And it's about learning the landscape. So the core work would be, I would call it the psycho-emotional anatomy. So over 40 years or so of the evolution of this practice, virtually every part of the body has been decoded. And what that means is that the conflict of the foot is different from the ankle, is different from the knee, is different from the shoulder, is different from the brain.
Mm.
And depending upon what's being expressed in the biology, that lets us know, based on the anatomy of the system, of how a particular element of the anatomy, whether it's a bone or a joint or a tendon or a nerve or a blood vessel or an organ, based on what is being expressed biologically, we already know what the conflict is. And it's generally a single conflict or a very small list of conflicts. So you don't have to hunt the entire universe of possible conflicts. As someone who's learned this art, you've already learned the anatomy. And knowing that you can really be focused in the process of asking the right questions in the right way, in the right sequence, for the person to be able to find a back door to what's been blocked from their awareness and to ultimately release that. So the core work, and the person who teaches that course is Enrique Boran, and he is one of the students of Claude Sabat. That's, I would say, the fundamental understanding. The knowledge of how a big stress experienced in a state of isolation can literally drive that perceived experience, that particular type of conflict, goes to a very precise part of the brain, and that in turn corresponds to the organ that will be affected. And this is so powerful that the originator found that if there was a very strong conflict, you could even see it on a CAT scan. There's a type of appearance that looks like dropping a little pebble in water. And the center of that is sort of the center focus of where the conflict goes. And that region of the brain gets disconnected in awareness. So it's like that higher self issue, that we're never disconnected from it. It's always there, but we might not be aware of it. It might be literally blocked from our perception. And one of the big things that does this is simply, unresolved conflicts, which can be ours or from our ancestors. So for example, if someone has the same name as an ancestor, like a mother, father, grandfather, uncle, or aunt, if they're given the same name, they're literally born to resolve the unresolved conflicts of that ancestor. Or if you have the same birth date as one of your ancestors, you're born to resolve what they didn't resolve in their lifetime. So that's a type of mission that someone comes in with, and without a process for becoming aware of it. And sometimes it happens spontaneously, and people have immediate relief, and that corrects it for themselves and their ancestors going forward and backward. Or it's done through a systematic or intentional process. So that's the core of it. And then there's Isabel Benavides, also a student of Claude Sabat, and she starts with the core work, the core information that Enrique teaches, and then she's developed many more methods of resolving the conflict. So if you know the conflict, it's one thing, but then there's a lot of art and elegance to allowing that which is deeply buried in the unconscious to become highlighted or lit in that person's awareness, so that they can see it, process the emotion, and be free of it. The third area, the third pioneer that we bring in to do trainings, is a third generation orthodontist. And that's, of course, someone who specializes in the challenges with the teeth and the related anatomy. So teeth, dental bone, gums, the shape of the palate, the even the way the mouth closes is also very tied in to especially one's ancestral conflicts. So, and his name is Dr. Fabian Brodos, and he and Enrique are from Uruguay. And it's quite extraordinary because each tooth means something. And everything that happens with each tooth means something, as well as the gums and the bone. And unlike the other decoding processes where the person has to speak, has to answer questions to the degree that they can bring these hidden things into their awareness. If Dr. Brodos has a so-called panographic X-ray of the mouth, which is showing all the teeth and the dental bone, without their saying a word, he can write a 32-chapter book about their ancestors, those relationships, and their personal relationships. And many things in the mouth can improve or even resolve by clearing the conflicts related to the dental issues. Thus, there's this evolving science of psycho-emotional medicine where physical and even psychiatric problems can be resolved by getting to the core of the conflict. The training of Dr. Buran, we've had him here a number of times, and of course, during the pandemic, because it's been hard to travel, there's been a suspension since 2020 of having the in-person events, which we're hoping to resume this year. And with the multiple trainings, he has authorized our leading team member, Mary Kennedy, to teach the first 2 modules of his 5-module program, which he's now expanding to a 6-module program. And that's sort of the prerequisite to do the further work with Enrique. And those courses are becoming available online as well, so people can start getting this information. And to me, whether someone becomes a practitioner or not, for everyone, the root is resolving these deep conflicts. Literally, we're born with the mission of resolving these issues for ourselves and for our clan. Mm-hmm. And there's probably almost nothing more powerful than resolving your internal conflicts in terms of overcoming limitations, be capable of doing more and more, having better and better health, overcoming physical, emotional, or psychological issues. So whether someone decides they're going to study at a level to actually be a practitioner of the art, even just the personal awareness that comes from doing the training. Because as you become aware of a conflict for a given system, like the conflict of the shoulder is a conflict over doing something new in the world. Just knowing what the conflicts are and then knowing your own physiology and physical and or psychological issues, just the awareness of what the conflicts are can sometimes connect the dots. So just doing the training to understand the process is also a profound personal journey of accelerated self-evolution.
Yeah, and this is incredible that right now we have all those possibilities that we can resolve all this problem.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Can you share one more time the name of the website?
Yeah, it's called mindbodylogic.com.
Great, thank you for sharing.